So the OpenStudio Coalition is a group of nonprofits and engineers, scientists, researchers, and programmers that put together and maintain the OpenStudio software. The OpenStudio software, as I've discussed in my previous videos, is basically an entry-level software for using Energy Plus, and Energy Plus is the mathematical engine that simulates energy and loads in buildings. With that said, the OpenStudio software itself is open source. That means it's maintained and it's free to the public. The OpenStudio Coalition has been put together to sort of keep it free to the public. But with that said, the software does require some maintenance, sometimes needs updates. So there are volunteers that provide those updates and development. So including adding new features to the software and new and fixing bugs and all that stuff. So there's a lot of issues that are logged by users for the software as problems crop up and the software gets developed. And those issues are logged on GitHub. And I've discussed in some other videos how to set up a GitHub account and log those issues. So you might check that out. But at any rate, the OpenStudio Coalition could use some extra help. If you are interested in helping to develop the software, if you want to add new features, or if you simply want to help us troubleshoot and solve some of these bugs, then I put together this tutorial. It's going to be kind of a two-step tutorial. The first step is to get you set up on your machine on how to compile the software. And then the second step, I'm going to show you I'm going to go through an example of troubleshooting one of these bugs using AI. So we're going to leverage AI to do that. So with that said, let's get started. So the tutorial is written as an MD file, but we can just relabel it a TXT file, a text file. It's written as an MD file because I will be using it later to use AI, in particular Claude AI, to help us set up. But for now, let's just relabel it a text file so we can open it with Notepad. Right, so let's jump right in. In order to install Claude Code, this is the AI I'm using, and you can probably feed this tutorial into any other AIs, and the AI should adapt it to their preferences or requirements, and you should be able to go through this tutorial with any AI. So the first step is to install Node.js. So these are the first few steps that we're going to have to do to sort of bootstrap this, and then we'll use AI to get the ball rolling. So let's go back. Let's install Node.js. and get Node.js. And I'm on a Windows machine. So that this tutorial is for a Windows machine. So we're going to be going through that here. So let's download the installer. And open the file. Go through the install process with the defaults. Finish. And then, let's see, we can close this. The next step is to install Claude Code. And it says to open the command prompt. So you would go to Windows and type CMD, and that will get you to the command prompt. And it says to run this right here. Okay, so it added 2 packages in 13 seconds. Right. Next step. Okay, it says add Claude Code to your path. So there's 2 options. You can do it via the GUI, or you can use the command prompt. So let's just do command prompt. The alternative is to go to Windows and then open up system.cpl and then go to advanced environment variables and then follow through those steps. But so let's just do the command prompt. All right. Then it says we need to close and reopen the terminal. So let's close this. CMD. Let's go ahead and run Claude version. All right. So it is showing us a version, so that means it's been installed. Let's see. The next step is to install Git. So we need to go to this URL and download and install it. Go to install for Windows, and let's just do the x64. It says to accept all the defaults. It looks like it was already installed. Yes. All right, so we need to verify the installation. So let's just bash git version. Okay, yeah. We probably need to close out the command prompt and reopen it. All right. Let's try it again. There we go. On to the next step. Open command prompt and run Claude. Okay. Claude. All right, and it's going to go through a setup mode. Let's do, so if you already have an account with a subscription, you would do this. And I think, yeah, the other ones are some more advanced programming. So let's just do one here. And then we need to copy this authorization into here. And it's going to ask you to log in. So we have the code. Okay, so yeah, Claude can make mistakes. Basically, all AIs can make mistakes. So you need to be very wary about what you're doing with AI, especially when you're copying and pasting images, because those images have little, they could have little snippets of code in them that Claude reads, and Claude might interpret that as a command. So definitely be very wary about what you're doing with images, and allowing Claude to take screenshots, as well as just basically keeping situational awareness. And Claude will often prompt you for doing certain things, and if you don't understand, you should have Claude explain it to you, or the AI, have the AI explain it to you. And especially when they are trying to do something like bypassing security and stuff like that. So just maintain vigilance, and we'll carry on. So, and it's asking if I trust this folder. So this is my root folder for my users. So you might not want to put might not want to put Claude in that. So let's go to exit for now, and we will do. Let's create a new folder. Well, that wouldn't work for this tutorial, but let's see. Yeah, we can. How to go about this? So we do have some installations that we have to do, but I don't think that that's going to matter. Let's just go ahead and create a projects folder right now in our users folder. Let's call it projects. And this is the directory we want to cd. So do cd and go to that. And then let's open up Claude. And yes, I trust this folder. There's nothing in the folder. So there we go. Okay, so the next step is to, we have already installed Git. We've opened up Claude. The next step is to set up Git. So you need to go to github.com to create a GitHub account. Sign up for a free account, and then you need to configure the Git identity and the Git identity settings. So let's just, in fact, let's do 2.2. Let's go ahead and just direct Claude to this tutorial right now. So we're going to copy the path to the tutorial text. And we're on part 2.2. So I am working through this setup tutorial. I am at part 2.2. Please see at, and then let's paste the path. Please guide me through the tutorial. And then, okay, so this is the first thing. Claude wants to know what folder Claude is in. So he's just asking, oh, sorry, he's asking to show the current global git config information. And Claude and maybe other AIs as well will give you this selection. Yes, I want to. Yes, don't ask me again. Go ahead and do this every time. Or you can opt for clicking no. And then the third alternative is you could hit escape. You could hit tab to amend. So if you want to add some more instructions, or you can do Control E to explain. Let's do Control E to see what Claude says. And it describes this command, what this git config command is. And this will always be an option when you're presented with this. You can always do Control E to explain. And if you still don't understand, you can go down to click no and ask further questions or ask for more information. So this command is to list all settings currently defined in the git configuration file. He's saying I need to show the current global git config to inspect existing settings. So, and then it'll give you a risk for these. Most of them are low risk. Sometimes it will have to do with modifying files on your drive. And then also maybe higher risk would be actually installing software. So this one's just reading, so it's going to be low risk. So we're going to hit enter for yes. Okay, so yeah, you're starting fresh. Here's what part 2.2 requires. You need to do this, and then why each of these matters. And then once you've run those, come back and I'll verify they took. And so Claude is saying that you can do it yourself. So we'll do a copy, and if you want to run a command outside of Claude, you would do the exclamation mark. So this will run the command at the command prompt instead of inside Claude. And we'll just do Control Paste. And let's see. And that's the wrong email. Let's use a different email. So all right, so yeah, this overwrote the previous email. All right, so the next is the GitHub username. Again, we can run this outside of Claude, and we're going to want to use our username. So let's go to GitHub.com and we'll sign in. And so this is going to be your username right here. So we'll just copy this. We will paste this in here and hit enter. All right, and then one more command. Copy this command right here. Right. And now Claude wants to re-verify, so we'll accept it. All right, so it's confirmed. Part 2.2 is complete. Let's do part 2.3, install the GitHub CLI. So we'll run this command right here and do paste. So Claude says the installer needs an interactive input for this. So let's just copy this and let's open up another command prompt. All right, so successfully installed. So we can tell Claude it's successfully installed. It says close and reopen your command prompt, so it picks up the new GH path and then GH authorize login. Let's go back. I'm going to close this out. Do another command prompt. And this right here. Okay, we're going to choose github.com. What is it? HTTPS. And then authenticate Git with your credentials. And we'll do yes. Log in with a web browser. Yes. And then press enter to open it. And it's asking if you want to activate the device. We'll click continue. And then we need to go back and grab this authorization code here. And we're going to authorize GitHub. And congratulations, you're all set. So, all right. Success. And we're going to copy this back to Claude. It says we're logged in. All right, we completed part 2 fully. Git is configured and authenticated. Let's move on to part 3. It's next. So we need to fork the OpenStudioApplication repository. So navigate to your projects folder and command prompt. So we are actually already in the projects folder. And so we need to run this right here. So if we go to github.com, it says, look, we don't have any repositories. That is just about to change. And so let's see if we can get Claude to do this instead. So what we could do is we could just copy this and go down here and run this in shell mode. But let's go ahead and just say go ahead. And Claude should do it for us. So see, Claude is asking us to open this up. All right, and then it's also saying let's open up this folder and then fork this repo, fork and clone it. And again, you can do Control E if you want more information. This is a good way to learn more about coding and the whole process of GitHub repositories. So always ask AI if you're unsure or if you're just curious about information. So we'll click yes. All right, so the GitHub command isn't on the bash tools path. It was installed in your Windows command prompt system. You'll need to run this one directly in your command prompt window. Yeah, I think that has to do with the fact that we started Claude a little bit early. So let's go ahead and exit the Claude session. We are going to close this command prompt. And we can close this one again, and we'll start a new command prompt. And let's open up the projects folder and start Claude again. This is a new feature that Claude has. I'm just going to ignore this for now. And when you open up Claude, anytime you open up Claude, you always want to do this procedure. So you open up the project folder first in command prompt, and then start Claude. So Claude will start inside that project folder. And then once you're there, you can resume previous sessions with Claude. So we're just going to do resume. And it will pull up all of the previous sessions. We've only got one here, so we're going to open up this one. And let's see. Please try again. Okay, Claude's just going to do it with PowerShell. So let's go ahead and yes. Okay, so there's a conflict with the newer version, so we need to rerun it without remote. So we'll click yes here. All right. All right, it says go to github.com in your browser and fill out your name, bio, profile photo, and then try forking manually via the browser first. So with that, we need to go back to the browser and go to overview. And let's just browse to the OpenStudioApplication GitHub page and click the fork button on the top right. So that will be this button up here. We're going to click fork. And this is the owner, this is the repository name, and we're just going to do create fork. Says I cannot fork this repository at this time. So I think that's because I just set up my my repository, and GitHub has a lot of systems in place to prevent users or computer bots from doing malicious behavior. So GitHub normally wants to see some progress in your GitHub repository before you start forking large repositories. So, with that said, what I think we can do, let's see, okay, GitHub has restricted your account. In that case, you need to wait 24 hours. Let's go, yeah, it says we can't fork it, so let's go to repositories. So we'll log out and log back in. Sign out and sign in. Yeah, so our repository is not suspended, but GitHub won't let us do that. But that's okay. For now, what we can do is just, let's just clone it instead. Please clone it instead. So it's asking, do we want to clone it? Yes. All right, it was cloned. So since we cloned directly, you can make changes locally, but you won't be able to submit them. So the next step, it kind of skipped over this, but it says, yeah, that said, you can still do everything in the rest of the tutorial. So the next step is part 3.3, and that's creating the CLAUDE.md file. And then Claude just jumps right into it and says, okay, I'll click create the CLAUDE.md file. And so what is the CLAUDE.md file? Well, Claude AI uses MD files as basically instructions for the AI. So if you're working on something and you find that you're frequently doing something over and over again, it's just an instruction that you can write to Claude. Say, hey, when you encounter this issue, always fix it this way. So in the case of editing OpenStudio software, I have encountered a number of issues dealing with the software, and so that's what Claude is writing right now. It's writing some instructions for when you're doing local editing of the software and building of the software. So we'll just go ahead and let Claude create the MD file. All right, so part 4 is next, installing the build toolchain. So this involves several installations that you'll only be installing these this first time, and once they're installed, you don't have to worry about this all over again. So this is all the laying the groundwork, bootstrapping for getting set up to edit the software. So ready to start when you are. So let's do it. So let's see if Claude can do it for us. All right. So again, this has to do with installing software, and we didn't look at it, but when I asked Claude to do it, and if you would have asked for more information, it might have been a little bit higher risk category because it's installing software. All right, So CMake was installed, and now we have to install Visual Studio. So we'll accept. All right. Now it has to install Python. We'll accept. All right. Next step is to install Ruby. We'll accept. All right. It's trying to refresh the path here. All right, now it needs to install Qt, and it's asking if it's already installed. So he's going to check see if there's any versions available first. Accept. Okay, now Conan. All right, now let's see. It's asking to read this Conan file, which was just installed. So let's go ahead and and it has to add the compiler setting. So we'll just accept. All right, so it's asking to overwrite it. And so this is something that needs to be done, but yeah, that's good. So we'll accept. Okay, so this is one issue that I did encounter a while back, where Claude was trying to cancel the some of the SSL stuff, but this is a bypass that we came up with so that we didn't have to cancel SSL. So it's just because the certificate is expired at NREL, we are just disabling this remote because it's not necessary for our purposes anyway. So yes. Yeah, so a lot of these are just some edits that had to be done in order to get the system to compile on my machine. So you may or may not need these, but it would be good to rely on your AI to guide you through that process. And if you are curious or if you have questions about it, you can certainly always ask for more information. Okay, so yeah, we made a lot of progress, and Claude will often do this. So if there's a really long command that takes a while, Claude will send that to a shell to run. And at this point, you can continue to talk to Claude about any questions you have or any details about what's going on while that background shell runs. And you can push the down arrow. You can see it says push down arrow to manage, and you can see what's running in that shell. And oftentimes it might be one or two shells that are running at the same time. So, and you, like I said, you can always ask AI more details about what's going on. And we'll do the left arrow to go back. Okay, so Claude is troubleshooting this. Okay, and the versions don't match. So Claude's going to check if this VSWare exists. So we'll accept. Yes. And it's going to retry the install for Conan. All right. Looks like it's installed successfully this time. So let's do CMake configure now. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that was kind of a big, long process. And there's a few more items in here that I will feed back into the tutorial that hopefully can head off some of those issues. But I wanted to pause right here and note that this big long list of items that needs to be installed in order to compile the OpenStudio software. It's kind of a big process, and the OpenStudio Coalition has put together a sort of a package into what's called a Docker. So it's packaged all of this stuff into a single Docker, so that you wouldn't have to do that. Unfortunately, in order to um, test the OpenStudio GUI, the graphical interface, it's kind of clunky inside the Docker. So that's why I have done this as the primary path for the tutorial. If you want to go the route of the Docker, you can look in the appendix of this at the very end of this tutorial, and it will discuss how to run the Docker instead. So at any rate, let's continue. So we're on to part 4.8, and this is the build. So this is going to build the OpenStudio software from the binaries. So let's just so we're going to do a right arrow to say go ahead with J4, and that's just an automatic prompt that Claude puts in there at the end of every session. So he'll say, hey, do you want to go ahead with this? And all you have to do is do the right arrow and hit enter. And it's going to build it with 4 parallel jobs. And yeah, it might go faster. Let's see. Yeah, he was asking how many CPUs the machine has. So yeah, you can do this. You can go to the task manager performance and look at the CPUs. I think I've got 8 on this machine, but at any rate, we're just going to go ahead with 4, and it'll go a little bit slower, but I will speed up the video for that. All right, so the build succeeded. And Claude just wants us to open it up and take a look. So let's copy this and go to path. All right, and open up. Okay, and it opens up. And I'll just check through here. Yep, looks like the app is there. So we successfully built our own custom OpenStudio application on our machine. So let's discard this. And so, yeah, this is our project directory, and this is our repository, our OpenStudio application repository that we cloned from GitHub. And these are all the files, the C++ files, and all of the other files needed to build the OpenStudio application. So, and so let's continue to part 5. This is create a branch and solve an issue. So I put this issue 857 in the tutorial. You can certainly choose any one of the other issues. If we go to the OpenStudio repository, we can take a look at the issues. So there's 130 issues open, 392 that are closed. So there's certainly a lot of open issues that could be addressed in here, but we're just going to go ahead and work through this one in the tutorial as an example. And that will be continued on to the second video. So that's it for today. Congratulations. You just learned how to build the OpenStudio application on your machine. And the next tutorial will be to using AI to address some of these issues. Thank you. Please like and subscribe.